Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live video. I am doing this totally unannounced and just sort of wanted to check out and see what you guys thought. I'm thinking about starting a new little video series called the Lunchtime Lives, and so I'm trying to see if this is something that you guys like, and if you do, that's awesome. I'd be happy to hear from you if you did, and if you don't like it and would prefer that I not do the lunchtime lives, that would be awesome too. Just let me know. I'm happy to do whatever, just so that you can, I'd want to do what you guys need. So anyway, today I'm showing you a little card that I have created with the stamp sets, the two stamp sets. One of them is called Happy Tales, which is a new one from the Occasions catalog, and I love it. It's got the coordinating dog builder punch, which I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a cute little dog with a heart, and as well as the Country Home stamp set. So anyway, so this is one of the stamp sets that carried over from the holiday catalog. So little bonus there. So got a couple stamp sets there that we're going to be using, and we are going to make this little puppy card. So pretty simple, and that's my plan for the lunchtime lives, is to kind of keep it simple and something that you can hopefully get done and take a quick peek at in your over your lunchtime and over your lunch hour, and get a few card ideas. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got a few things that I pre-cut. Hey Alicia, how are you? Thanks for hopping on. I didn't know if anybody was going to catch me live because, like I said, I totally did this unannounced, and if anybody else hops on, feel free to say hey. So I have got a piece of the Wood Textures Designer Series paper. This is one from the annual catalog, and a little bit of snail, and I'm just going to adhere real quickly to a panel of soft suede cardstock. All the measurements will be on my blog post tomorrow, so no worries there. You don't need to worry about it, but this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I'm adhering it to a soft suede cardstock panel that's 4 by 5 1/4. All right, so we got the background panel done. I went ahead and pre-cut this with one of the new rectangle stitched framelits dies, and I actually used this one, the biggest one on this little set here. Again, this is an awesome new die set from the Occasions catalog that I'm pretty excited about, and glad that we finally have some stitched dies. So I used it to cut some of the Subtles Designer Series paper, or a piece of paper from the Subtles Designer Series paper stack. This one is from the Pool Party color, obviously, because that's the color that I'm using on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere that with a little bit of snail here on the back. And there's no like precise placement on it. I just sort of wanted to make it look sort of like it was a shadowed look, and that's about all. So the only thing I'm worried about is making sure that it's fairly straight. So, okay, next up is a little bit of linen thread. And I don't know if you guys have ordered this recently, but the linen thread, they have started sending it out in round little tubes rather than on the flat papers. So it makes it much nicer for things like tying little bows and whatever. You don't get the bumps and lumps in it. So anyhow, so that's a nice little bonus. If you haven't ordered it recently, go get some, because it's awesome. So I'm going to start by tying a little bit of a knot and adjusting it around here a little bit. And then I'm going to add a couple of the needlepoint nook, or I'm sorry, one of the needlepoint nook buttons that are also from the Occasions catalog. And these are just, I mean, they're such a cute little button, and they're so perfect for so many things. So I'm using the one that's Sahara Sand color, and hopefully, of course I drop it, hopefully I'll be able to get it threaded here fairly easily, because of course it always works great when I'm not on live. They're really not very hard to thread, but one more order today to get a free gift. All right, so that sounds perfect, Alicia. Let me know if you have any questions about that or anything on your order. And as everybody knows, it's celebration time right now, so that's an awesome time to be a customer. You actually get to pick free items with your orders of $50 or greater from Stampin' Up, so that is a bonus. They have a specific celebration brochure. If you don't have the copies of the catalogs, let me know. I'm happy to get you a set. Just drop me an email at amy@stampwithamyk.com, and I'll get copies of the catalogs in the mail to you. So I think we've got our little bow finally tied. Hopefully it's somewhat decent. Of course, I forgot to grab my scissors out, so I've got to trim up the ends just a little bit. All right, so we've got our background done. The next thing I did was stamped the sentiment. And I actually used the Stamparatus for that. You probably don't need to, but I did just because, oh, hey, Deb, thanks for hopping on. I'm glad you caught me live. So I did use the Stamparatus with it just because I find that sometimes when I stamp on our colored cardstock, I don't get a really perfect image the first time. So I love to be able to stamp particularly sentiments a second time. So I'm using a little soft suede ink. Probably bouncing I probably should slide this over a little. So a little soft suede ink, stamping it on just a scrap of Pool Party cardstock. And I got a fairly decent image, but I'm going to go ahead, I think, and add a little bit more color to it with the Stamparatus. All right, yep, and that's what I like to see. I like the nice dark color on that sentiment. So we're all done with the Stamparatus. And hey, Beth, how are you? I'm glad you caught me live today too, so thanks for hopping on. Is it cold and wet up in the North Georgia mountains too? It's getting that way here. So the next up, I stamped the little paw print from the Happy Tail stamp set in Pool Party ink, and just sort of stamped it. I wanted it to look like a little puppy had sort of wandered across the card, and so stamped it right across the middle of the sentiment. And because it's a significantly lighter ink, you know, it looks okay. And you can see the sentiment just fine. So did a little bit of ink with Pool Party here. And then I pulled out, snow is expected, ugh, yucky. Pulled out my Big Shot, and I apologize. I know this is gonna bounce everything around, and it's gonna be super close, but that's the only way I can really get it on the screen for you. So, all right, so I'm using that same rectangle stitched shapes die, or stitch frameless die, and I'm going to cut the sentiment a little bit further over like that, I think. Run it through speedy quick. Sorry for the shaking. One thing that I have found with the rectangle dies is that if you have trouble with it not cutting completely through, if you run it through at a little bit of an angle, that cuts easier. And it's especially the bigger dies that seem to be a little bit more, some of them don't act like they don't want to cut, but it's like the Big Shot is, when they go straight through, there's too much resistance or something, so they don't cut very well when you do that. But I find if you turn it just a hair, do it a little bit sideways through, you get a much better cut on it. So that's my little tip of the day today. So let's get this Big Shot up and out of the way and bring my card panel back in here. And we're going to adhere this on with a couple little Stampin' Dimensionals. There we go. Peel the backing and find those things stuck all over everything. Whoop. All right, so we've got our sentiment on here, and I think for placement wise, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. That looks pretty good right there. So, all right, next up, we've got the dog, and I went ahead and pre-stamped that in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I wanted him or her, or whatever it is, to be a little bit of a blonde dog because we have a blonde dog. So I used the light Daffodil Delight marker as well as the Color Lifter marker. So these are the blends markers, so they're obviously alcohol based. I am not an expert at coloring by any stretch. Anyone who knows me will tell you that. So I basically a lot of times just get the color on and sort of work around a little bit with it as far as the shading goes. What I wanted is for it to be a little bit darker around the edges and a little bit lighter in the center. So I colored everything first, kind of put a little bit of extra color around the edges and the areas that I wanted to be a little darker. Like this. And then tried to go a little bit lighter over the middle of the dog. And then I'm just going to use the, hey Jackie, thanks for hopping on. And Chris too, hey. I got a few people here alive. So just going to use the color lifter and remove a little bit of the color. And basically it's kind of pushing the color down on the paper. So it's going to take a little bit of the color out. With the color lifter, I find that sometimes less is better, so start with a little bit lighter hand on it. Sort of see what you get for the result. Let it dry for just a second and see if you like the result. I'm not sure how well you can see it on there, but you can see the color is sort of lightening up a little bit in the middle. I think I'm going to go ahead. He's looking pretty good, but I think there's a little bit here that he's a little darker than I want him to be there. And maybe a little bit there. So I think we're done with the puppy. So again, like I said, I'm not an expert at coloring, but this, I like the blends. They make it easy for me. So, all right, so I'm going to take the dog builder punch and punch out the puppy. Try and keep it on the screen. I apologize if I'm moving things off accidentally. Still trying to get used to this whole live thing. So again, planning to start a video series of lunchtime live, so hopefully you guys like it. All right, so there's the puppy. And I just used a couple little glue dots to stick the dog on. So if I can find the end of my glue dot round. Did a couple little glue dots kind of on the middle of them. And then just stuck them on right here next to the sentiment. So that's it for the puppy. The last thing that I added on the card front were a couple of the Gingham Gala adhesive backed sequins, and I used the ones that are sort of the bluish color in the box, or in the pack. So just sort of stuck them on randomly around the card front. Did them in a group of 3 because, well, that's, I guess groups of 3 we're supposed to use for artistic purposes. I don't know. I just like the way it looked. So that's why I did it. So there we go. We basically got the card front ready to go. Now I just need our pool party card base. And I adhered the card front on with Stampin' Dimensionals. And while I'm sticking these down, just wanted to remind everybody that if you are interested in joining as a demonstrator, right now is an awesome time to do that. Stampin' Up! Has a joining promotion going on where you get $175 worth of product in your starter kit for $99 plus tax, if tax is applicable in your area, and it ships for free. So that's option number 1, which is an awesome deal in itself. And then they have option number 2 for a starter kit where you get $175 in merchandise for $175 in merchandise, as well as the craft and carry tote, which is an awesome bag, for $129. So if you're interested in joining, interested in getting the discount for yourself, I would love to have you join the team. So drop me a note, send me an email if you have any questions about anything or anything I can help you with on the starter kit. There is no obligation to buy anything, no obligation to sell anything to anybody other than yourself. So you're welcome. If you're interested in just getting the discount for yourself and have a huge wish list, come on over and join us. We'd love to have you. So again, holler if you have questions about that. So the last thing that I did is I'm just stamping the inside of the card. This is a Whisper White cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And just stamp the little paw print in Pool Party ink like he's running across the edge of it. Adding a little snail on the back. And my driving with snail is terrible. So, all right, and we're just going to adhere that in. Whoop, I guess I need to get it on screen, don't I? Adhere that inside the card base. And I'm going to grab my bone folder and fold it right in half. And that's it. The card's all done. So again, just a little bit different look on this one. Used a little bit darker color of Designer Series paper. This one's a little bit lighter, so you can use whatever you prefer as far as the colors go, and what your preference is on the shades of the background papers, because that Wood Textures Designer Series paper has some fantastic wood images in it and all sorts of things that you can use. So thanks so much for everybody hopping on today. I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hey, Mary. Hi from Connecticut. Cool. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully the lunchtime lives or something, if you guys like them. Like I said, I'm planning to try to do these about once a week, and thinking that maybe Tuesdays around lunchtime might be a good time. And if there's a better time for you or a better day, let me know. But that seems to work for me. So hopefully I can catch you all later. So thanks so much. And thanks, Janet. I appreciate that. So And thank you, Beth. I hope y'all have a good day. Thanks for stopping by to check out the video.